Hello, YouTube. Old Rusty here again. Through popular request, at least on a poll where 29 people voted, they want shroomlights for my latest Ghast Blaster madness. And so we're going to do terrible tutorial number 3. Right behind that was the nether skeleton farm. We'll get to that. But I wanted to do this one. So today, we find ourselves at the top of the world, utilizing world height for some more of this sweet, sweet shroomlights. We are way up in the sky. So don't build this farm unless you're going to use ghast blasters. It's a little resource light compared to some of the other ones, but the bone meal efficiency is garbage. You're going to go through a double chest of bone meal an hour for this. It works great for the fungus ratio to shroomlights, but this really is designed around Indyfficient's ghast blaster design. So I'm going to link to his channel where he talks about how to wrangle gas as well as build the ghast blasters, and you got to do it 5 times for 960-ish shroomlights an hour. So if you like shroomlights and you don't want to mess with ghasts, go with terrible tutorial number 2 where you just cubify all of it. Let's get into this. So for this farm to really work, you have to, it's very, very particular, as in will not work otherwise. We're going to utilize world height to limit growth. So to start your farm off, go up to 307. Make sure that you're in a biome where snow golems will actually survive, because otherwise your ghast blasters won't work. I would also suggest finding a nether coordinates where ghasts are going to spawn to make that easier. So ideal circumstances here. You're up in the sky, way near world height, in a non-hot biome so that snow golems won't die, overlapping with a nether biome where ghasts will spawn. If you have questions, welcome to my channel. You probably are going to have a lot. Hit me up in the comments and I'll reply. So, at 307, you want to place a piece of warped or crimson nylium so that when you stand on it, you are at 308. This will be the place where you always plant your shroom. You want that fungus to be at 308 right there. If you're at any other Y level, the rest of this farm won't work nearly as well. So, most important thing, getting started. Get a platform. I'm standing at 307. Put down your nylium. Let's go from there. So, as always, the first thing we got to worry about here is, of course, our nylium ultimately being decayed, which will happen. So, we're going to use the same design we've been using. We're going to go with a dispenser pointing in to that. Let's just clear out some of these blocks here. We're going to want the other piece right there. Throw a piece of glass on top of that so it never decays. All instrumental. If you've seen my other tutorial, I highly suggest that you watch it if you haven't. And we're just going to build this out. I will point out when we're doing something different. Otherwise, we're just going to go with it. We're going to put in our one item. Let's just get rid of the shroomlight right now. We're going to load up our dispenser here with a little bit of bone meal. And the whole point of this entire circuit is so that we can regenerate our netherrack back into nylium when it's time. Oh, see, I messed that up a little bit. We want one more down. So, what will happen here is every time this changes states, it'll activate the dropper, which will activate the dispenser down there, and we'll convert our wonderful, let's do its thing. Boom, we're done. Again, same as any other that's designed by Groove Guide, auto refill, and to auto regenerate your nylium. And from there, we're just going to go out. A lot of the basics of this farm is going to be the exact same that it has been for my other ones. So we'll just kind of start getting a little bit lined up here. And then really where it's different is that we're going to be utilizing 7 shroomlight spots instead of just 5. Normally, I would say this probably isn't worth the effort, unless, yep, right there. Unless you're using ghast blasters, because no matter how many spots you are utilizing, what you are going to find happens is that each individual spot's going to always generate the same amount. So you're not really speeding up rates for your farm. We'll turn around and plop a dispenser right there. You're not really speeding up the rate of your farm at all if you're still having to go and manually chop it all up into a cube maker. So I would say that after a lot of experimenting, the one that I built where you're utilizing the 5 spots, you build it down at the bottom of the world, that works just fine if you're going to use a hoe to collect everything. But if you want to go for that extra level of insanity, that's what we're going to get into today. Where we completely free ourselves through the power of 10 ghasts to sit here and make more questionable decisions for automating farming. So again, same setup as in my previous designs. This unit down here will auto regenerate your netherrack. Bone meal is just going to get instantly dispensed as soon as a stem grows. It's going to get picked up by the comparator and pass it on to the wonderful dispenser full of minecarts. If any of this is staticky, I'm just going with it today. Because honestly, you know, it's a terrible tutorial. If you're going to build this, here on the Old Rusty channel, we pride ourselves on our lack of editing. Again, we're going to do the same thing as before. In my previous videos, we're going to feed in the hopper chain with a block of sand. And the point of all of this is so that we can sit here and capture our minecarts again as they loop around. The basics of the farm has changed as far as the triggering mechanism. None of that's changed. What ultimately has changed is how we are going to go about up here in this very, very limited and narrow position that we find ourselves. So let's get some rails out here for timing. So with the ghast only shooting at 4, put that there. With the ghast only shooting at a total of 4 times per second, I'm sorry, once every 4 seconds. Gotta love that internally generated monologue of my brain. You want 3 powered rails to get it out the way, activate a rail, 3 more to give it a little kick. I find for timing, loop it around then. More powered rails. Detector rail, and then we want to get it up top so that it recycles back. And then, of course, we want all of these to be good to go. We'll put that right here. And we want to power these over here as well. And this essentially will allow us to trigger every time our minecarts to set off the 2 detector rail systems we're going to use to get this farm rolling. And just to make sure that we're good, goes around, activates the other one, and you want these to completely shut off. So timing here is important. If you find your timing needs to be adjusted a little bit, I find this little pattern right here works of basically 3 powered rails, detector rail, 3 more powered rails, loop it around with a series of 6 rails total, back into 2 powered rails with another detector rail, and then power rail it up back into the, you want this cart moving at a high velocity when it hits that cactus, so it bounces off, hits the glass, gets pulled back into the system. Okay, so all of this is fairly familiar besides the extra detector rail. From there, we are just going to start working our way up. Now, as always, one additional thing we're going to do here is our dispenser. We want an extra dispenser up top. And all we got to do to keep this going is put that there. The reason for this, oh, and then of course the obligatory nether warts will grow everywhere, drop glass down. Because every time we grow this fungus, it's going to use a lot of bone meal because a lot of attempts to spawn are going to get rejected because it keeps getting clipped by world height, which is part of the design. So to speed that up, we want 2 dispensers going and vice 1. That'll just help keep it consistent and flowing out. So, as before, first spot will be the stems. We're going to push those out. Second, third, and then what we are interested in farming are the 4th spots here. So above here, because we don't care about, we want this Shroomlight spot number 1. You want to go up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The reason why we're utilizing only 6 of these spots here, vertically speaking, on the y-axis, is because Indyfficient farm utilizes that's the max they can handle is 6 per ghast module, and we already have 5 ghast modules for a total of 10 ghasts. Yeah, it's a little crazy. I like it though. So here's where things kind of get a little different. What we want to do now is we're going to get a couple blocks so we have some room to grow. And we're going to farm the other 3 spots on each side of the center stem, giving us a total of 7. So what you're going to want to do, some of this is going to seem kind of familiar if you've watched my other videos, is you're going to want to start with the sticky pistons on both sides here. And then from there, we're going to take that up 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're going to do that again on both sides. 4, 5, 6. And you're going to do these 2 rows. And what we're building here are double piston extenders. And we'll get into how am I turning a double into triple. Well, you'll see. So again, observers on both sides. And then we want normal pistons. And you know you've built it correctly. 1, you need 6 total here. And then you want those pistons flush 1 block back here so that you are hitting all 3 of these spots. You then want to go through and, of course, cover all of these with glass so that you don't have shroomlights coming and spawning in these spots and mucking up your farm. From here, you're going to want to swing around. Now, just like in older designs, we have to worry about warp blocks in places we don't want them to grow, which is going to be right here. So, of course, these are going to be extended ultimately so shroomlights can't grow, or warp blocks won't grow here. Then we will reshock these pistons and fire off the double. From here, what you're wanting to do is between those, you're going to want a sticky piston extended. And this is where things get a little complicated. So, between, let's get these in place first. So on one side here, this wall of sticky pistons is going to be extended the same as these. It's going to grab this first row warp block or shroomlight, pull it over, and then we're going to push it out the way. So between the piston and the sticky piston, what you are going to want to do is go through and put some observers. And then you want normal pistons here, and then looping around, let's just get rid of some of the stuff we don't need. You're going to want to place in front of this row of observers, you're going to want to place glowstone lamps. Redstone lamps, I should say. So again, come over here on the same on this side. We are going to put those down. You're going to come here, put some pistons to get activated by that. Sticky piston this side. And glowstone lamps. What this is going to ultimately do is these pistons will be extended. When they retract, there's going to be a 1 tick delay due to the observer and the redstone lamp, which is then going to push out this column. We'll get to wiring up here in a second. So from here, your blocks are going to your block is going to be here, get pulled in by the retracted sticky piston and then pushed out for something like that. We're also going to have blocks flowing this way. Obviously, this doesn't give us any room at all to really do anything. So what we need to do next is we're going to come out again offset it with another sticky piston. So it's going to get pushed over, then it get pulled over one more time. And then again, we're going to have right here is where we're going to have another. I messed that up. We got to be one more over. This is where this matters. You'll see why in a second. So we'll get rid of this. From here, you're going to have a glowstone lamp right there with your observer. The reason why is this redstone is bulky. Because I need to direct. I'll show you right now. We need to direct redstone signals in to each one of these spots. And then still have this activated. So again, you know what? We're still one too far over. Get rid of all this. Like I said, the redstone is bulky. Bear with me. So ultimately, this is what we're looking at to fire this thing off correctly. So that it's doing that. And then watch it. Then those get pulled out. So that's what we want. Next, we're going to have to come here with this piston because you need this block. You need a space between this redstone, so otherwise it's going to get messed up. Then you're going to do the same thing here and here. And in order to get this to work correctly, we're going to have to do another loop. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, followed by observers. Pistons. Like that. And then redstone so that it's both pointed and will connect up with that and activate the redstone lamps. This is essentially going to be the resting state of our farm. So, same thing on the other side. You're going to want to come out so that this piston is lined up. Again, like that. Because all we're doing is pulling it all over by one. Spacing is important. And then you're going to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll get rid of all these in-between blocks. And then, of course, redstone lamps. Observers. I have built this in survival. It is interesting. Scaffolding and temporary blocks are your friends. All right. This is where we are at right now. Take a second, take a look at this. Then we're going to go start wiring up all the redstones. So the point of all of this, double piston extenders here. What happens is in any one of these 3 spots, these lights can spawn. This piston, sticky piston, is going to move this block over. This middle block gets pushed up one, and then ultimately this final block here is going to also get pulled over by the sticky piston. So let's start with the redstone wiring and why it is the way it is. So, and the reason we have to do it with this gap in the middle is because we need to power both, make sure all these redstone lamps are powered. Now, we're good when it's like this, but if I put this here, it redirects it away. So because of the wonkiness, that's just a nice way to put it, of redstone dust, we have to kind of give it what it wants in order to properly control it. So we get this 8 model going here. And this lets us put in everything. So this is what it's going to look like mirrored on the other side. And then over here, since we have one less wall piston, but we still have to, again, work around. The advantage of this farm is material-wise as opposed to the 5-position one that is arguably easier because there's no ghasts involved. This requires less materials, but you need ghasts. which is likely a deterrent for some people. But if you're I really want a lot of shroomlights and I don't want to use a hole and chop it all up, this is a good way to do it. We'll get rid of that. Up here, solid blocks, redstone on it all. This is to activate these set of pistons here, and then we'll come over here and wire this up as well. So a good way to do it, again, make this figure 8 over here. And repeat a bunch. You can use any solid block. Just don't use transparent for this part because you're relying upon the redstone to pass its signal through the solid block in order to get this all to work correctly. So again, come out. We'll go ahead and set up over here. Block there, block there. Make yourself a square, a 3x3 over here with the hole in the middle. And this will allow it to all power. Now, the reason why we're using the redstone lamp and the observer is we need to introduce a 1-tick delay in the firing of the sticky piston, followed immediately by the normal piston in order to move that block out the way. So, and then wire everything up with all sorts of wonderful redstone dust. So this is what ties into the detector rail system that we're going to use. Why we have 2 is because we are going to cycle this farm twice. There may be a more time-efficient manner, less lag. However, I just find it's the simplest just to keep the redstone circuitry to a minimum. This is already complicated because, again, we're building at world height. Watch my showcase for a detailed breakdown of all the mechanics. So basic wiring is done, and then we'll come back around on this side. Put one there, one there, and one there. Redstone dust all this. Last thing to do. Is, of course, glass elevators. And that's in the on position. That is the resting state of the farm with those extended. You need to use the redstone blocks here. Once we get everything wired up from down below, of course, it'll make a little more sense if you haven't seen my previous videos. But if you're sitting here building this, I would suggest that you see my other videos. Yep, we want it like that. We'll come over here and do the same. Just take it right in the middle, line it up with the redstone lamps. Make your glass elevator to get that signal moving up and down. Terrible tutorial number 3. I don't know why I keep working on shroomlights, probably because no one else is. I would challenge anyone else. Please, I feel alone in this. Have a stab at it. I can think of several YouTubers, Mike Homer, Gordafame, Golden Helmet, or someone, please. I'm insane. Resting state of the farm is this. These are powered on. Whenever we pivot things, those are going to come out and fire. And then ultimately, there you go. All right. Come to the back side. Wire these up real quick. So for these, push them on the outer edge. It just looks better. Again, a lot of this is similar. We're modifying the same kind of Shroomlight farm I've been working on now for so many different iterations and just maybe changing a couple things, manipulating the mechanics, but the core is the same. So from there, and also don't forget the back end. And this is going to let us get all 7 spots, which is good because our bone meal efficiency is already kind of gone with when you're utilizing gas. Now, you could build this lower in the world with more gas. This version of the farm is kind of a compromise between gas and efficiency rates, and what gave was the bone meal. All right, so from here, what we're going to want to do is with this one, we're going to want to come out. We'll get rid of this for now. And we're going to want to hook this up. So let's just get this down. You're going to want to use a solid block here. And here we want to glass it up. Now, of course, to simulate, it's always good. Throw your lever down. What we're going to do here is we kind of want to reset this distance. So place a repeater coming out of that, throw a redstone on top. So first detect a rail. Once you get all that wired up, you want to just raise this signal up. You can use a lever to simulate. I like putting a repeater right here because it separates this little bit of distance. It gives me a working room on the top. This feeds straight in, powers the solid block, and then we glass elevator it up. So from here, all these should be extended, and they are. What you then want to do is come up, put down another glass block after you run it on top of there, and then come out a couple more. And if you see that signal's already getting weak, so we are going to reset it. From here, I forgot to put these in, didn't I? I did. What you're going to want to do here on both sides, one more, is you're going to want these redstone blocks here. And what we're going to do is we're going to use sticky pistons to move the redstone blocks back and forth as the signal works its way around. So let's go ahead and get our sticky pistons in. Again, these are coming here. What you're going to want to do is pushing those away. My bad. We want solid blocks here and here. Over here, on the same side, you want to do for both. So the point of all of this is when the farm is resting and there's no redstone signal applied, the sticky pistons will be retracted and these will stay on. And the same thing over here, we want it so that when they're retracted, they're not powering this circuit. Did I do that one over too much? I did. Well, let's fix that real quick. Spacing matters with this farm. All right. And then we're going to want to do the same thing here. And this is what we have. From there, you're going to want to come out to both sides so that you can take your signal here. We also want to wire this up. You're going to come over here, do the same thing. We're going to glass bridge it up so that it's equal to the same Y level as this. Pull some glass out. Keep it simple. And then we're also going to want to do the same here. Now what you're going to notice is this is not going to make it all the way down here or over here. And that's okay, because we're going to add in another repeater. The little, I hate to say it, but the little delays don't matter with the Ghast Blaster. since they only fire once every 4 seconds. So what you're going to want to do here is right at this spot, put a repeater so it can extend. Same over here, right before that. So then we're going to run this down, and we're going to run this down. So every time our farm fires, when it's in the on position, this is what it's going to look like. The double piston extenders are extended. They never hit these. And then these are retracted. And now we will go and... Oh, nope. There it is. We'll break that. And then the farm resets. This takes care of the part one. Notice I didn't hook this piston up. Because when we're sitting here planting, what we don't want to happen is when we're planting our fungus and we're putting it down, the one thing we don't want is planting another mushroom when this thing is mid-cycle running around. See, that still works. So we want to keep our piston separate and fired until it gets to the second detector rail. So for this one, you're going to come directly under your detector rail because this is a solid block. It's going to pass the redstone signal down. And two things needs to happen here. First off, we need to hook it up to this. So that it's going to sit there and still fire. But at the same time, we don't want this feeding back over here. Because what we're going to want to also do... Oh. Glass elevator it up. Oh, no. Put that there, there. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. See the problem here? You really got to watch this. So ultimately, you're going to want to come here. Come out. Come out one more. So that you can get your redstone here. You could, of course, loop it back in. We'll just do a glass elevator here. So now what's happened is this is tied in to that piston. Set this to 4 ticks. We're going to come down here. We're going to put on a couple of other ones. I messed up. So see, here's the problem, right? I need to fire this first detector rail off. This one. And have it activate all this. But then, at the same time, not have it loop back around and activate the piston over here. So really, the best thing to do here is take it out a little bit so you can separate it. So right here, we're going to throw down a repeater. Just 1 tick. And that is going to protect the other part. Hey, if it wasn't terrible, it wouldn't be a tutorial. That's what I say. There we go. So really, at this one spot here, one, you want the repeater going that way, activating everything else. You also want it coming this way so that it will just activate this piston. And again, 4-tick delay is not enough. What I find to really be safe is take it to 12. Let me get down here. So from here, have a 4-tick, have a 4-tick. This will let the whole farm finish resetting. Actually, you could probably make this first one here. Nope. Make this first one 3, and then 4 and 4 for a total out. You know what? Make it 2. There you go. So when I activate this minecart now, this farm is going to cycle twice. Allow time for everything to reset. And this piston will not get pushed. Oh, hold on. This piston will not get pushed until the second detector rail fires because of the way I have it. Everything will finish resetting, and then this piston will finally retract. That is the redstone wiring. Done for all of this. Of course, shroomlights love growing everywhere. Don't give them a chance. Or not shroomlights, wart blocks. So you want to go through and protect all of your... Anywhere that you have your glass elevator, you have to put another piece of glass on top of it. If a wart block generates in those spots, it will cut off your redstone signals and murder your farm. In no short order. Same as over here, 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 and then we're good over here. And then come around and make sure you got these covered too. Everywhere where you have that glass elevator running up top, don't give it a chance to be able to cut that off. So this is the redstone wiring for this farm, mostly complete. This jangled mess that hopefully you followed over my monologuing. This is what it should look like when it's done in 6 layers. Where the redstone lamps are lit, these are always extended. What will happen when the farm gets fired is these pistons will retract this first block up here, push it out. The double piston will come and push the middle block up to, so it's out of range of the sticky pistons. Then the farm will fire again for that last block to also move this last one out. The point of these over here are to, again, create that space so that we can start getting some kind of room to maneuver. So, let's test it out. Oh, the last thing you want to do up here, what I find is it makes it easier. Cover all this in glass. The shroomlight will not grow above 319. No wart blocks will generate. This will also make it easier for you to both watch the farm, because I think it looks good, as well as... So anywhere that you have redstone, a repeater, you're fine. I like to double layer this in glass so I can come up here, look at it, troubleshoot it if I have any issues, which you may. This is an interesting farm prone to... Well, I've slowed it down because I was having issues with timing. So from all that being done, we're going to come down here, put some glass here and here. No, we don't need that. All right, last thing we want to do to make this really AFK. At this spot here, what you're going to want to do is put a dropper. And so you can walk away. Tape your controller down. You want a dropper right here. In this dropper, you're going to load up shroomlights. In order to key it, all you need to do, put some redstone right there. Put a repeater on 1 tick going in. That's going to reset it. So whenever this farm fires off, when this farm fires off, this redstone's going to activate. It's going to activate that dispenser. This dropper is going to spit you another one so you can plant another mushroom. Well, let's give it a go. Where is my fungus? Where is my warped fungus? There you are. All right. So from here, and again, you will fall to your death. Activate your comparator clock. Grow it. So with that one firing, I got all these blocks. 1 shroomlight. Not bad. Let's fire it a couple more times. Again, we're getting the feeding mechanism going here. It's also coming out this way. So what I find is good is run it for a little bit so you can kind of figure out, start slapping down buttons in order to get your nylium under control, or wart blocks. Plant it a few more times. And again, it stays cleared out. So what we're doing right now is we're just growing it to make it a little bit easier for the block stream. You saw how long that took? Okay. So now we have something to work with. What from here, now it's all about getting those block flows ready for your gas chamber. The core is done. Now, if you notice, these have a lot more space than these ones slowly working up because these blocks here are getting, every time it gets cycled, you have potential for 2 blocks getting grown. For the middle one, it's only going to come out in 1. So what we are going to want to do at this point is a lot of observer, I hate to say it, and piston shenanigans. Let me get this ready. Now, on the back side, we'll start with the stem. This stem is going to grow out for a total of 12. Right now I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Get a glass block in there. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Come out 12 blocks. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. From here, you're going to want to do this. And we'll go into the Y. So this is going to shove all of our logs over this way. You're going to want to count out 12 here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Pull yourself a solid block, redstone, and a torch. Because what you want to do here is have a redstone torch. This redstone torch is not going to pass any power by itself. I went down one too many. See how that's powered? But now it's not. And all you want to do is loop this around. What this is going to allow you to do is every time that this block over here, when you finally grow enough stems, it's going to push it out by 1. Blowing up the stems is incredibly difficult because, I mean, it just is. The reason for that is because they have a higher blast resistance than the warp blocks, and the ghasts have trouble keeping up with it. The system will back up. Easiest thing to do is you're just going to make yourself a big old wide facing down because you can't really go up 3, 4, 5. So you're going to make yourself a 12 by 12. A big 12 by 12 row of pistons all facing downward. I appreciate how hard this is to do when you're not flying around in creative at the top of the world where you'll die if you fall. But if you're into this far, you're already thinking ghasts are going to be just the worst. The ghasts are worse than this thing. But you got to do something with the stems. It's not like I have any other direction to send a massive column of these things besides down. And after you run this farm for about 2.5 hours, this giant cube will get filled. Over here, you're going to want to line it all with glass blocks. Put a repeater on every end. Just so you can make sure you get all this. Waste a whole bunch of redstone. Running it all over this. Make sure you don't... There we go. All these set to 1. And we're just going to paste all of this in redstone. If I had a computer, I could probably do good video edits. It might even be fun. But I don't. I have an Xbox and a cell phone. And while I know you can do amazing things with cell phones these days, I refuse. Mostly because it's not my skill set. I don't even know why redstone is a skill set. Certainly not a marketable one in any event. But, you know, sometimes you have these quality AI productions. You have these high-end YouTubers that'll sit there and do a bunch of really awesome stuff. Yeah, you should definitely go check out their channels. It ain't this one. What you're going to want to do from here is the good old piston trick. We want our redstone coming out. Repeater. Make another repeater set to 3 ticks. Feed it around so that it cuts it off. And then from there, we're just going to come up. Yep, I messed that up. Because I forgot you need to wire all this up, don't you? So we'll do this. All right, so wire all that up like that. And then we're just going to come out and we'll glass elevator it up. Every time this one observer sees something, they're all going to fire off and shove it down. 12 by 12 to handle the stems, repeaters and everything, covered all in redstone. Observer feeding into a repeater set to 1 tick, feeding into another repeater set to 3. Glass elevator it up. This is what you get. This takes care of our stem problem till after 2 hours we have to go chop it all with an axe. Call it a day. Now, from here, we're also going to want to come out 12 blocks. But this is easy. This is block 1. That's the second level. Third level. Piston. Nope. 1, 2, 3. This will be our first one. So this is where it's going to grow. And then you're going to want to come up 6. And again, make sure this block stream is all lined up. This redstone will never get activated. And what we're going to do here is the good old observer into observer to get our stuff moved around. So then as these blocks come flying up, we're going to shove them off this way. This is where you're going to build one of the Ghast Blasters from Indy. So far we have giant cube maker made up, central core done, block manipulating mechanics to move this off to the side. That's the easy part. This is the hard part, kind of. So our issue here, really, is we have managed to effectively create a stream here where we have a 1 block gap. We need to get all these out both ways within 12 blocks before we hit our push limit. So to do that, I say run it for just a little bit till you get just enough of a gap. And right here, in that very first spot where that block gets pushed, put down 6 repeaters. I'm sorry, 6 observers. You're going to do this on both sides. And then pistons. This is going to allow us to shove over all these with a 1 block gap. And then we're going to have to follow up. Let's do this on this side. And see, I've made a mistake. See, so this piston's going to push this out, which is fine. No, that is fine. All right. From there, we now have to get rid of this block stream because this block stream is still going to keep on moving out. So what we want to do here is move it over. Well, we only have this little tiny space. You're going to come back here. You want it offset. So behind the piston, have an observer facing into an observer, facing into a piston, so that you have this 1 block gap here that you will allow you to move this block item over. So again, let's just get the observers in place first. Take them up 6. More observers going in. Don't forget that bottom one. And we have now taken our block flow items, moved them out of the way going this way. This one can do what it needs to do. And then we're going to come over here and do the same thing. So out of the very first spot, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Have, again, repeat this pattern of observers. Is there a better way to do this? Not really, with the confines of the individual channels we're carving out here. All right. So now what we have is we have this block stream is going to come over and get shoved going this way. Then we're going to take this next one coming in, and it's going to go that way. We have this one feeding out to go that way. The problem here is this is block 12. So if I do another observer chain like this, this is never going to work. Those pistons up there, those double piston extenders, will never make it to this block. They will always stop here. So this is where we get a little creative. What we're going to do is put down an observer. Do 2. Then you're going to have a row of solid blocks. So again, we'll take this up 2, 3, nope. Well, yes, but no. Do the double in the back so that we keep, again, you want to keep the ticks the same on all this, because this is the timing that works with this farm with the double pistons. And then all you're going to do is loop this around. You want to do the same thing on each one of these. And what this is going to let us do is, since we now have the space to work with, this is going to allow us to activate these and move them this way, because this piston right here is at the very end of the push limit, so we have to get creative with the redstone at the end. So this is where it's a little different. And so now we can run this farm more and start filling this up, because the problem we now have is the ghast blasters are dependent upon a vertical axis, and right now all of our item feeds are in the they are in the vertical. We need to completely 90-degree shift the plane of our item flow. So let's grow some more shroomlights and everything else. You're going to want to stand here. Oh, look. Our first... Let's get a button, because this is going to be an issue. Any shroomlight farm, these things are going to grow all over the place. So you know what? Just... There you go. And we're just going to keep growing away. As the farm runs, you sit here. The dropper's going to throw you another shroom or another fungus. You wait for the whole farm to finish run, cycle twice. I want to see what I'm doing. We're going to use some more glass. Put it here, here. Some buttons. All right. So if you notice, we are now starting to work our way out. You miss one. Notice how quickly these are working their way around. Oh, get rid of these. These other ones take a little bit longer. It's really this block stream is going to be the most that you have. So let's keep running it for a little longer here. Again, by no means a quick farm. The only advantage of this is the auto braking, which means that you're not having to stop and go harvest 3 giant cube makers full of wart blocks, shroomlights, and some stems every 6 minutes when you're done. So you can sit here and just run it continuously for hours until it fills up. Again, farm runs over twice, and we start getting these worked out. These will slowly work their way up. These less, I should say, populous, because this one here and this one here are running at double the rate of the rest. These will all fill in. You're going to have 5 ghast blasters, 1 for each one of these fields, all the way around. Even this is slowly starting to work its way out. Now, I'd say go watch Indy's farm for that. And I'm going to show you the last step you need to do here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is particular. Right here. You really got to watch this. Is you have to make clearance for all the room for the gas and everything else. These double streams, you need to let them run, and you need to flip them again. So let them go out the full 12 blocks. So we're going to do that. Make sure we're level. We are. Take it up. Probably would help if I had it aligned correctly. Three, 4, 5, 6. A world download will be available for this eventually. Did I count this out too far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Come over to this side. Do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nope. 10, 11, 12. It really does help if you run the farm, let it fill up some. I'm going to show you why here in a second. Make sure these are all lined up. They are. Again, moving the block streams over one more time. We're going to run this a little bit longer. I'm going to show you the final flip trick. And then, yeah. If there's an eerie, awkward silence, it's because I decided to just go ahead and shut off all the music and sound effects. I'm hoping that I'm not having a lot of crackling in this video because I'm not doing it twice. But look how cool this looks. Anytime one grows. Like, it just clears it all out. All right. So you notice now these are starting to work their way around. Very rapidly, we will hit the push limit for all of these. These as well as the ones over there working their way around. But again, I said that the issue we have right now, besides, well, let's just keep this going. I would suggest some double chests with hoppers to keep your bone meal fed, because this goes through a lot. Look at that. One more time. All right. See how quickly this fills up. Especially these. This is about to hit its push limit. Same with the one over here. Those are going to start working their way around a little bit. These back two, they take a little longer because there's so much more space, but they'll get there. So now here we have the vertical problem, which is to say that I need, where is it? Let's just, the problem here is we want our ghast blasters. Our ghast blasters designed by Indy, and the only reason I like it is because every other blaster I've ever seen always involves you using a sticky piston with a slime block to deflect the ghast ball to hit the item. The danger of this is then if it messes up by one tick, it's going to blow up your contraption. His model redirects the snow golem snowballs, and then the ghasts just shoot where they shoot every time. So what happens if the snowball gets messed up? Oh no, just shoot it again. Not a big deal. The problem is they shoot upwards, which means that they want to run for you to utilize it, you need to take this vertical column and we need to flip the whole thing over like this. So after some playing around with it, we're going to do more shenanigans with observers. What you have to do is break this block stream out twice in order to reconsolidate it down. What does that mean? Starting at your top, go diagonal with observers facing in. Exactly like this. Then, on every one of those observers, have another observer looking into it. You're going to use the same method for all of this. Then what you're going to do is have a piston. And you could do the same thing over here. I'm not going to show you with me endlessly creating this block flipping over and over again. So we're just going to keep growing for a little bit so you can get a good idea of what's happening here. So now what we've done is we have broken out our block stream so that instead of being in the vertical axis of all together, we have created 6 separate streams all running the same way. From there, you're going to come out, make sure you're up above where that block is going to go, come out 1 right there. And you're going to do that same and if you find you got to utilize some temporary blocks to get these in place, go ahead. Observers again. So every one of these item flips gets a little hard. And then have another one. So now, after breaking out all of this into separate streams, the items are going to come in. They're going to get pushed down. And that lets us take this and just go across. So the observers are going to face the feed for each one when the blocks come down. More observers going into observers. Oh. You want to make sure, and what we have now done is when I go run this more, and I'll show you, is we have taken this vertically stacked column of 6, flipped them all around so that that becomes a horizontal stack of 6 that you then feed directly into the Ghast Blaster. Do that times 5. A lot of pistons. A lot of observers. A lot of complicated shenanigans at world height. Growing at exactly Y level 308. With you going and collecting 10 ghasts and building it to Indy's design. And we're going to fire this a couple more times so that it fills. And then that's it for this. Is this more complicated than the previous? Absolutely. You've seen me kind of get lost as I'm building it. Take your time with it. It's not an easy thing to do, especially at world height. But if you watch, this is now feeding. And then you'd come out at your second block out. This is that part where you would line up your feed here going in. And this right here is the back wall of Indyfficient's Ghast Blaster. I'll include a link to his channel. You're going to do this same flipping mechanism 4 more times. On this block stream coming out, you have enough room to just start flipping them right here. On this one, you do as well. Just be mindful of your redstone. Let it go out to about here and then start plopping down observers and flip them. Exact same thing on this side as over there, but we have to move these all the way over another 12 in order to make room for these. And then you're going to do the same one over here. This one's already filling up. You're going to flip all those 2 and then have a Ghast Blaster here, one there, 2 on that side, and another one taking that space up. As you run this farm, this cube maker is going to fill up to over 1,800 items, 12 times 13. Before that piston's not going to be able to push any more blocks, then you're going to have to stop, go chop all this out, and keep going. The only other thing I'd say is word of warning. Once you have gone and built Indyfficient's Ghast Blaster, and it's really good, follow his directions. Ask him questions if you have it. So you need to be aware the push limit on this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What's going to happen, because this one on this side and that one over there are moving at double the rates, some warped blocks or stems may make it through. What you are going to want to do is where that block stream is coming in, again, all the way out to here, is you're going to want to put in a safety. And you're going to want to do that to make sure that you account for all 6 of these spots, because otherwise, eventually, the farm will back up. Yep. The farm will back up, and then it's going to cause that all to slowly back up. You won't have your pistons triggered correctly, and then eventually, you're going to have to go clear it out if you catch it soon enough. If you don't catch it soon enough, you're eventually going to back up so much that in this spot right here, a warp block is going to generate. It's not going to be able to get pushed out. One of these 2 pistons is going to activate. It's going to break this redstone back here and possibly shove your other pistons around and make this a garbled mess. This little safety right here is for the very occasionally, as you're running this over hours and hours, it'll add an extra 12. If you want to be super safe, you could go and install an entire another wall piston on this side. Let it go up by 12, which are world hide in any event, which you might be able to just make it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You can go up 11 if you're really that concerned with it. It'll take a very long time for this to be an issue, even with just these couple here, to add that extra 11 blocks to it, but it's a good thing to do on both sides. You only have to do it on the ones to the side, because those are the ones that have the most growth. Because two of our 7 spots are going into this one, 2 of our 7 spots are going into that one. That's a total of 4. Then we have 5, 6, 7. So these 2 sides right here are carrying over half of the Shroomlight and warp blocks starting to get generated. I suggest building the safety switch in there. Terrible tutorial number 3. Feels like it was worse than some of the last. Trying to explain everything going on in this farm is just, there's a lot. If you want shroomlights and you're willing to go with ghasts, this will get you about 1,000 an hour with 10 ghasts. Besides that, go build number 2. It's only using 5 spots, but it's way easier to build it up at the world limit. You're going to chew through way less bone meal. You're not going to sit here and go and get gas. But if you want the best automation and you don't want to do wither cages, because I don't do wither cages, getting Bedrock, good luck with it. Old Rusty's Ghast Blaster madness. I feel like even this tutorial's pretty bad. But you can mumble your way through it, because you're going to bumble your way through capturing the gas and getting them in place. I suggest doing this on creative. A world download will be available in a couple days. We're finishing this farm out in survival. Old Rusty out. Sweet, sweet shroomlights.